your time with the Steelers. Those two teams that you won Super Bowls with a lot too. What was so different? Like, is there just a special feeling about a team going into a year when they win the Super Bowl? It's like, we feel like we can win the Super Bowl this year. Is there like a different feeling those 2 years that you had as like opposed to your other years?
Yeah, the first year, Super Bowl 40, we kind of limped into the playoffs. Remember, we were a 6 seed.
Yeah.
Many people felt like we weren't deserving of getting into the playoffs. And yes, they're in the playoffs, but they're going to have a short life in the playoffs. And then we upset Cincinnati. And then the ball game that we earned a lot of respect was the Indianapolis Colts ball game. Because that Colts team, and I've had discussions about, great teams that never won. I really feel like that 2005 Indianapolis Colts team was one of the best teams to not win a championship. I think they were like 13-3, 14-2, unbelievable offense. Then you had Dwight Freeney, Bob Sanders, Mathis, a host of quality defenders on the defensive side. But when we went into Indy, and remember the first time we played Indy in the regular season Monday night, they blew us out. I think it was like 28-6 or something like that. And when we went back there in the postseason in the RCA Dome and beat them, that's when the football world was starting to pay attention to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And by that time, our confidence was just at an all-time high. So that playoff stretch, including the Super Bowl, we played at least all offenses that we played in the postseason were top 5. They finished top 5 in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken, along with the offensive MVP and Sean Alexander, who was with Seattle.
Yeah.
We took care of Cincinnati. We took care of the Colts. We took care of Denver with Jake Plummer. They were a top 5 offense. And then we beat Seattle in the Super Bowl. That stretch was more like, okay, we're not really taking the Pittsburgh Steelers serious. Okay, now we taking their serious, but can they go all the way and do it? And we did it. The second one, we were the second seed. I mean, we lost to Tennessee. I think it was Christmas weekend or something like that. And that ultimately was the play-in game to get the number 1 seed. And Tennessee beat us that year. So we were the second team. We had a first-round bye. And it wasn't like we were going to sneak up on anybody the second stretch because we played phenomenal the entire year. The defense was clicking. Offense was clicking as well. So we went into the postseason in 2008 with respect. We had to earn respect in the first stretch in Super Bowl 40 run, in that run.
Right. Well, that's what I was just about to, as you were talking there, I was about to ask, do you think that was the biggest difference you think between the two teams was one of the teams was too busy earning the respect during the ride and then, the second run, you had the respect already. So it was just, okay, that's the biggest difference then?
Yeah. One ride we had to earn respect. The second ride, we had respect coming in. We just didn't want to let people down.
Right. Were you about to ask a question? It looked like you were.
Yeah. I wanted to go. So back to the Super Bowl 40 run and going to that Colts game. So I know what it feels like from a fan perspective to watch them miss that field goal at the very end. But what was it like from a player's perspective? Like, how were you feeling in that moment?
Wow. I think for us, the highs and the lows of that ball game is hard to explain because we wanted revenge. Like I said, the first time we played against the Colts, they blew us out. They laughed at us. I mean, it wasn't even a competitive ball game. And one thing that BC said, Bill Cowher said in the locker room after the first meeting when we lost, he was disappointed. We were all disappointed, but he said, you know what, guys, we're going to come right back in this building in January and we're going to beat them. And at that time, I think it was halfway through the season, we heard him, but we weren't really focused on that statement. And then sure enough, we right back in RCA Dome. And the sequences of plays that we saw happen that led up to the Vanderjagt miss kick, we dominated the whole game. I mean, Peyton Manning couldn't get anything going against our defense. Fourth quarter, we're just going to ground and pound the clock out. Jerome Bettis is in the backfield. We're just going to run it. If he score, he score. If he don't, they don't get the ball back. Time runs off. We're on the sideline celebrating. We're talking so much trash to their fans because if you remember the RCA Dome, the stands were very, very close to the actual sideline.
Yeah.
So most stadiums, you have a nice gap of separation, a nice gap of space between the sideline and the fans. But in the RCA Dome, they were right there. So the hecklers were out. They were trolling us because of the first meeting. But during that time in the fourth quarter, we're talking so much trash. And we're not even looking at the play. of Jerome. We're actually talking to the fans. So our back is facing the actual field. We're not looking at the big screen. We're talking to the fans. And then we just heard the crowd go crazy. So now we're like, well, dang, we know there's a lot of Steeler fans in here. But, man, it seems like the entire stadium is Steeler fans. So we're thinking we scored. So we're talking crazy to the fans. And the fans, they're jumping up, and they're going crazy. So we're like, what's going on? So literally, we all turned around, and we see Nick Harper running with the football. And we're like, what did we just miss? Because we didn't see the play. We was heckling the fans. So we see Nick Harper running. We was like, no, it can't go down like this. And Big Ben came out, and I don't know if he grabbed the shoelace or whatever it was, but he got enough material from Nick Harper's shoes, his socks to get him down. And all we heard was Coach LeBeau said, defense, get ready. You're on the field. You got to go. So we went from celebrating to trying to find our helmets to running on the football field in a state of shock. And I remember we were in the huddle. Everybody's eyes were extremely wide. And James Ferry was looking to the sideline, and Coach LeBeau was in a state of shock because he didn't call in the play. He's like, Diggy, give me some, give me some, give me some, give me some. And now we're like, oh, my goodness, this is not about to happen. So you give Peyton Manning, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, another opportunity to not just get in field goal range to tie, but to potentially score. And we were on the field, and it was like, oh, man. So we had to – the sudden change, guys, in those few minutes was unbelievable because we had to go from celebrating, talking trash, to shock, surprise, how did this happen, what the F is going on, to now we got to go on the football field and stop this prolific offense from not just getting into field goal range, but from potentially scoring.
Yeah.
Losing a Super Bowl, man, that's tough. I can only imagine how the Buffalo Bills, what they felt like. You know, when they had Jim Kelly, you go to 4 straight Super Bowls and you lost all 4?